welcome to another episode of Girl You Know What. I am your host, Tahir.
And I'm Kisha.
And of course, we are back with, what is this going to be, episode 8, girl?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, wow, we are getting it together. And for this episode, it's going to, now last week we had like a little bit more of a fun, lighthearted episode, whatever. And we're going to continue
And we'll make everything fun, but this is serious.
Yeah, everything, because we're both shady and, we like to say little things here and there, whatever.
I'm not shady, I'm just honest.
Okay, we'll go with that. That's cute. I like that.
People don't like my honesty.
That's what it is. Well, people can't take honesty.
I try to rub it in sugar and not shit, but
okay. Well, we'll go with that.
Come out like that.
Some people can't take it, girl. That's what it comes down to.
I be trying though.
Right. That's all we can do. That is it. So
trust me, my biggest critic is my mother, and she's like, because I be listening to it, but let me tell you what you be doing. I'm like, ooh. Child.
Sidebar. Not to give anything away, but your mother. So she's going to love this. I know she is. But we're planning on, we're going to be planning on having people on the show, especially coming in our second season, which we'll give more information on that at another time. But we already have a star of the show, and they're not on even, they haven't even been on the show yet. I'm just going to put that right there. I'm just going to sit it right there.
Don't even have a designated date, okay? She done carved herself out segments.
Yes.
And I think what we should just do is have a segment where I just come on.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about, lady?
It's her show now.
So she gonna probably be in charge. She gonna get on here and she gonna think she in charge. I got to prep her 4 months in advance before we can put her on here.
Ciao.
Because it's gonna be a mess.
We are the co-stars from now on. Not the co-host.
Hey girl, we love you.
Okay, yes. I know. I seriously can't wait because that'll be fun though. When we do get other people on, but I cannot wait for that episode. I'm gonna tell you right now, my shady self is just going to be sitting back. My mic is going to be on mute, and I'm gonna let them two go at it.
Because we can at least say this: the episode that she will be on will be about professionalism.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Honey, if you can't tell her she is not the queen of being professional.
Okay.
In her field.
Yes.
Now. She's going to tell you about etiquette and what ain't right.
Yeah. And so, that's going to be good, but it's going to be also tea, too. So I'm here for it. You already know that. So, but this week, we're going to be talking about, and it's going to go in with next week as well, what we're going to talk about. Next week, we're going to go more in depth in, these two episodes do go together. But this week,
I think we can tell you this week we're going to talk about gentrification.
Right.
Next week, we're going to talk about real estate.
Right.
And we have sought out a very well-respected real estate agent in Columbus, Ohio, Brandy McWade, who has lent us some of her professional and very knowledgeable, I don't want to say opinion, her knowledge in general on the real estate market today. So next week is going to be great.
Yeah, and we really appreciate that for her.
Definitely.
Taking
and
time.
She's a graduate of Mifflin High School.
Yes.
Hey.
And she's from the Creek. She's from Walnut Creek. Not to give our tea away, but yeah, so how we roll up in there. So
I can.
Yeah. Yeah, she was my neighbor growing up, just saying that. So anyway, but yeah, so that's going to be a very good episode. And, like with this podcast as well, we like to have fun and everything like that, even with serious topics.
Yes.
But we also, and I say this like when I'm describing the podcast to people, we also want to educate and have people just think and stuff like that, so that was from the beginning our main focus of the
absolutely.
show. Yeah. So
we said we're going to try to start a new show format. Mm-hmm. So keeping it current, what is something current that's going on this week that you want to just take a minute to say, this is what in the news really is bugging me.
This is what really is bugging me this week. And I actually talked about this for about 15 minutes on my new podcast that I will be releasing this week for my solo podcast. But I focus it on Black women in the workplace. But I want to talk about the treatment of justice to be, well, she is a justice now, Judge Ketanji Brown,
Yes.
what was it, Ketanji Brown-Jackson, I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
how she was treated compared
Oh, is
to,
her husband last name Jackson? No, I don't want to get off your
I don't
subject.
know.
But
That's
is
a
that
good
one man's last name
question.
Jackson?
I don't know. You would
I gotta
think.
look that up, but
Yeah, I have to look that up. Yeah, I don't know because I didn't pay attention to what her parents' names were.
yeah, I thought that
So,
was weird.
yeah,
But okay.
but and just the way, just her treatment, the way that she was treated, and we know what it is. I mean, we don't even have to get into all that. We can, but we could do a whole episode on that alone as to why she was treated the way she was. But
Mm-hmm.
on my podcast, I basically talked about a couple instances and experiences that I've had, and I could do a whole show. I could probably write a whole book on
Right.
things that I've experienced in 20 some years in corporate America.
Yes.
And I've worked in the private sector and I've worked for the government. So it
Mhm.
doesn't vary, but yeah, so that was something that really bothered me this week, and just something that I didn't watch any of the hearings, but I saw, because
I refuse.
yeah, me too. I was like, I'm not going to watch it, and because I already knew it was going to piss me off. And then when I saw the highlights and things like that, and
Yeah.
how, I mean, it was just a
I
circus.
stand with her in solidarity, but
Yeah.
I do not want to watch it.
Right.
On the day that she is sworn in,
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But because if you are a Black woman who has worked in corporate, not even just corporate America, but if you have worked out here, and look, I used to work for the Department of Development. I used to work for Mr. Petro when Jim Petro was the auditor of state for the
Mm-hmm.
Bureau of Workmen's Comp. And I worked in the nonprofit sector.
Right.
And if you are a Black woman who has worked amongst white people,
Mm-hmm.
it pricks your soul to see what's happening.
Yeah.
And it pricks my soul. And I saw a white man bring this point up. And this is when I knew I would never turn it on.
Mm-hmm.
That white woman that is questioning her, I forget her name, but the one that had the orange jacket on with the glasses.
Oh, was that Blackburn or something like that? Maybe that wasn't her.
She went to Mississippi State University
Uh-huh.
on a 4-H scholarship. Anybody who has ever watched The Incredible Dr. Pole or knows anything about why the county fair really started, y'all go to the county fair for rides and stuff. People really go to the county fair for the 4-H competition. That's when the young people, the small kids and the teenagers raise an animal. It could be a cow, it could be a pig, and you show it off.
Mm-hmm.
And you show those animals off, and you collect scholarship money, or you collect prizes. I think
Mm-hmm.
in the South, in Texas, when they show off their animals in 4-H competitions, you get like belt buckles. It's a whole thing. That's the real purpose of the fair.
Right.
She went to Mississippi State University on a 4-H scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
She majored in home economics on the collegiate level and has the audacity to sit across from a woman who went to Harvard University and Harvard Law
Mm-hmm.
and question her qualifications
Mm-hmm.
for a job in a place where, bitch, you probably really ain't qualified to sweep the floor.
I mean, that part right there.
I can't do it, y'all.
Her-
Like I can't. I can't do
Yeah.
it. I can't watch it.
Because, and that was what got me too. It was like and that's another part of where it came from. It's just like, and it reminded me of the treatment of, even though Vice President Kamala Harris, even though she sat at, she was a senator for all these years, she was an attorney general, everything like that. So she's had these high positions, but they still questioned her after all these years. And that's what it took me back to. And it just reminds me. And then it took me back to being looked over for jobs that I was well qualified for. And the little white girl got it because, she probably batted her eyes a couple times and she had someone lie on her resume. And then when she got in there, she didn't know what she did and she had to walk out of the job because she was so frustrated. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But that's what it took me back to
Yeah.
was, we can have all of the qualifications and you can
Mm-hmm.
have someone, I know that I have more education than some of the
Mm-hmm.
people who have been,
Mm-hmm.
who have what do you call interviewed me and who are quote unquote above me and everything like that
Mm-hmm.
in these positions. But in true, let me say this. Education isn't the biggest thing. Experience also isn't the biggest thing because you can go into a job and
In some places.
in some places,
In some
exactly.
places.
Yeah.
But in some instances, your education
Mm.
speaks for itself.
And this
And
is one of
that
those
alone
instances.
lets you know that you ain't got no business questioning me about nothing.
If you majored in home ec, if you raised damn pigs and cows and stuff like that to get into college, which whatever, but
But you
now
sitting across from
let
somebody who is a decorated,
decorated.
she shouldn't even, but you ain't even qualified to be on this committee.
Listen, how did you get there? Well, we know how you got there, but it's like, how dare you?
It be the audacity for
The
me.
That's
And
what
this
it
is something
is.
you just said, like the treatment of black women. I can
Mm-hmm.
remember having my master's degree, and when I got my master's, the clinical supervisor at my job at the time was like, "Oh my God, you have a
Gr-
master's?" And then
mm,
the other white girls was like, "Oh my God, oh, I just don't know if I can do it."
girl,
All these hoes, I got more education than all y'all,
listen, girl. But okay, so
and
you,
you my boss. You are like, you know how the pecking order is: the
mm-hmm,
CEO, the COO, the CFO, the clinical supervisor. She
mm-hmm,
up with the big wigs.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whew, child,
Oh, girl,
it's hard being a black woman,
it
honey.
is. Well, my old lead would have passed out with your qualifications because he tripped when he found out I had a bachelor's degree and two of them. He was like, "What?" He's like, "You got what? What?" Well, I was working on my second one.
You see?
Yeah. I mean, he was really surprised, and I tell a story about him on my podcast, so you're going to have to listen to it.
Oh, absolutely.
Plug to like our first, and it wasn't even really interaction, but yeah, I'm leaving y'all with the cliffhanger, but and it wasn't
That's
really anything.
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's just the treatment that we get. But yeah, that really irked me this week, just seeing that. And I was going to touch on that, what you said. The people who were questioning her can't hold a candle, questioning her qualifications, because of course they were supposed to question her and everything like that. That's the part of the
Yeah,
hearing.
yeah, that's the way
But
it goes.
yeah,
But
but it was
we
the
needed
way
some
that they
better
did.
qualified people on that.
Listen, I mean,
Like, seriously.
bringing up children's books and stuff like that, and things that don't have anything to do, just putting on a show. That's really what it was. It was just
I
putting
was
on a
glad when
show.
that one senator called Ted Cruz out. I meant to send it to you.
Uh,
Like he said, it's just people out here just grandstanding wanting to get the mic.
that's all it is.
That's it.
That's it. But and thank you to Cory
With no
Booker.
real basis for your argument.
None. And shout out to Cory Booker for standing up for her the way that he did. And he brought her
Yes.
to tears because she was, and that was another thing. And we're going to get into the show, y'all, but this just got me on a
Mhm.
tangent. But to see her break down like that was all of these years of her being questioned, her being looked over, her,
Yeah.
that was all of
In
that.
spaces by white people. And who
Mm-hmm.
would have to come along and pat her on the back but a brother?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
and which is my current thing, which is I would love to see black people, because what I witnessed on social media this week is I'm noticing so many of us like tearing each other down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like taking the opportunity to just bash each other
Right. Like I was
over like nothing.
nothing. And and like I would post something, and it wasn't necessarily about her, and her treatment. It was
Oh
about
yeah.
the treatment of black women, period. And who were the first ones to comment and say something negative about her? Not only just black people, but mainly black men. And it's just
Yeah.
I got to say this. Black men, I love y'all. I support you. I love you to death. But the way that we support you all, you can turn around and do that for us. And that's all I'm going to say.
Mhm. And I just and really the what I saw, just like I just told you about D.L. Hughley and Kanye West.
Mm-hmm.
Like to see and look, you can feel however you want to feel about Kanye, and we won't go into that right now because we just talked about it for like 20 minutes before we started the show.
Right.
But what disturbs me is I'm seeing so many Black people take the opportunity to bash other Black people in
Mm-hmm.
public spaces.
Yes.
And we've got to be careful about how we do that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we get mad. And I think it maybe we feel like, oh, we hold white people accountable, so we need to hold each other accountable. We do to a certain
We
extent,
do, but not that way.
not to the way where you are publicly, continuously bashing, and you a Black man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it. That's why it's strange to me when I see Black women doing it, because
Mm-hmm.
you know how hard it is to be a Black woman.
Right. And you're gonna turn
Why
around
would
and
you
do
do
that
that?
too. Exactly.
It is, and sometimes I think it might be a little more difficult for Black men. I know Black women ain't gonna like to hear me say that,
Mm-hmm.
because at least they'll let us work beside them.
Mm-hmm.
They won't even let
They don't see
Black
us as a
men.
threat like that, until it
They
comes to
don't.
the
Yeah, they don't
intelligence.
consider us a threat
Right.
when it comes to working with them.
Mm-hmm.
But they will keep Black men completely out of the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep.
So I just think we Black men need to be careful about how y'all treat each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm telling you, I like, and I know people not gonna like this, and I just told Danielle, I completely unfollowed D.L. Hughley on every platform because I don't even want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even want to see you constantly. And even for the people who talk about wherever Kanye West was bashing these people, why didn't you just unfollow him? Because how did
Right.
y'all see it? Because I never saw one thing.
Me either. When he started tripping, I unfollowed Kanye West, and I'm a Kanye West fan. But when he started doing all that stuff, I was like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. This
Like,
is not
I
what.
never
Mm-mm.
saw one single thing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe because I don't follow him on certain, I don't follow a lot of celebrities on certain platforms just because.
Right.
Like, but I unfollow D.L. Hughley on every platform because I don't want to see that. And then I don't want to be tempted to even comment on his behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And then that starts a whole nother, so I just completely backed away from that because
Right.
it's ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
I saw a girl, she, and this is, and I, to me, this is a beautiful story. She is a mother of 6, and she openly says she used to be on welfare. She used to be on public assistance. She was getting like Medicaid, and she started to use YouTube to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that now this is what she said, and the way she spends her money, like, I'm not necessarily doubting it. It's not a scam.
Mm-hmm.
She has been able to make $1 million making YouTube videos, and she has openly showed her check with, how they paying people for doing them reels, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't think y'all know how much money people are getting paid to do reels on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and making YouTube videos.
Right.
They getting paid a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you get to that 100,000 subscriber mark.
Listen.
Like, she's getting paid off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And she's showing you how to do it, like, with no problem. It's another Black girl who, for she sells a vendor's list for $1.
See.
She openly tells you with no charge how to do drop shipping. She shows you how to get paid
Mm-hmm.
without charging you. Do you know people still bash her?
Of course.
I don't understand y'all. I don't get
No.
it.
I'll get
I
there.
do not get it. Just like the girl who got off of welfare.
Mm-hmm.
She shows you how to, like, organize your pantry. That's really how I started following her. Pantry is beautiful. She
Mm-hmm.
had 6 children. Like, the way her pantry looks, it's amazing.
Right.
And she bought herself a new car,
Mm-hmm.
paid cash for the car. Do you know that somebody had the nerve to go into her comment and say all that money and you need to get your body done?
I mean,
She said it's sad that y'all make success about having a BBL and
Yeah.
getting your teeth done. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
I like my teeth. My teeth are natural. Like,
Right.
yeah, my teeth are like, because her teeth are like small at the bottom or something.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I like my little baby teeth. Like, it's
Okay.
naturally a part of me. She's
Right.
like, I like my body. I got a husband. We've been together since she was like 17. She's like, my
See.
husband ain't complaining one bit. And Danielle, to tell the truth, we are just so against natural bodies
Mm-hmm.
that you shame. She's not big. Her stomach just looks like she had 6 kids. Like,
Exactly.
she's
Exactly.
like, her arms are
I
not
don't
big. Like, she's not a
understand.
big girl.
Well, did you see that meme going around? And it had like four different women who were in the public eye, and I
Hmm.
know one was like Megan Thee Stallion, one was Lizzo, one was I don't know who the other chick was. She must be like a younger rapper, reality star or
Uh-huh.
something. But she was like real slim, like real
Hmm.
skinny, and she had on like a two piece. And then you had Megan Thee Stallion, who's tall and strong.
Right.
Then you had Lizzo, who she's a big girl,
Right.
and then I can't think of who the other one was, but she didn't have a quote unquote Hollywood perfect body. But
Right.
they said that, what are y'all looking for? Because you bash the skinny chick, you bash the tall, strong chick, you bash the chick, who
Right.
got a little weight on her. What
Hmm.
are y'all looking for? Y'all are just looking for a reason just to say something negative about
Hmm.
somebody. What do y'all want?
Yeah.
And none of them had anything fake about them. That was the thing, and that's why I brought that up, because
Hmm.
is that what's supposed to go with success? Because anybody can go out here and get a BBL now, so you figure that someone who's in the public eye, regardless if they're a YouTube personality or if they're on the level of Lizzo or Megan Thee Stallion, that they're supposed to be out here getting BBLs?
Right. Right. She's just a normal everyday person. Like, she's not
Exactly.
trying to fit into. She just happened to make
She
money off
found
of
her niche,
YouTube.
and I
Like,
wouldn't. Go ahead.
go
No.
ahead. No, no, no. What was you gonna
No,
say?
I was gonna say I wouldn't. That just reminds me. It's just like Kid Fury. I remember a long time ago. I think when he first started getting real big. I think he was doing YouTube videos at the time. But he was like, I don't know why everybody's getting so mad at me and what I'm doing and what I'm trying to do with my career. There are enough AdSense coins out here for everybody. Find your
Yeah.
niche. Do what you got to do. When she found hers,
Yeah.
and you gonna
Yeah.
find one
She
reason to
found what
attack
she's
her.
become successful at,
Mm-hmm.
and I this want to say, like, the thing that it's just weird to me that it is really, now I see it when people be
Mm-hmm.
talking about how people be hating on them.
Yeah.
People be y'all be really out here hating on people for real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought that was a beautiful thing. Like, I love seeing her videos. I
Right.
love watching her because
Send me her name.
I will. Her name is Peach McIntyre.
Okay. Because I like
Yes, and
stuff like
that's
that.
her name on every, like, her reels are on Facebook, on Instagram. Peach McIntyre. She said call
Okay.
everybody the Peach Patch. Like,
Okay.
she is like just a genuine person,
Mm-hmm.
and I can see her, like, but seeing, what people really hate is it's the confidence.
Mm-hmm. Talk about that.
People hate for you to just like you.
Mm-hmm.
They hate for you to like yourself.
Because they don't like themselves, so they got to find something wrong with you that you don't even think about, because you're happy with yourself. But that's,
Hmm.
but that's, and that's why, like, when I decided to take myself more serious on a public level on this type
Hmm.
of platform and become a content creator and all this other stuff, the one thing that you had to detach yourself from is how other people are going to view you.
And that's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
When that girl made that comment about herself, like, the next video she made was, she said, let me tell y'all something. If you are deciding that you want to be a content creator, you have got to stop caring about what people think about you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's why I say I've never been wrapped up in, like, hey, look at
Yeah,
me, like, ooh,
you
take
have
my
to do
picture,
this
look at my
because you
picture.
love to do
Right, so
it.
you bitches can say something smart, and I'm gonna be arguing with y'all. I
and,
don't got time for that.
and then I'm the wrong one. I'm the
Then I'm
bitch.
gonna be wrong.
Yeah.
My mouth ain't set up for that, and I know it.
No, I can't do it because we always
Cause
talk
then I'm gonna
about.
be calling y'all cockeyed bitches, and I don't want to live that life. That ain't I'm trying to stay right with the Father. Like, for real talk. I tell
As
people
much
this.
as I can.
I quit arguing with people because I don't want to go down that road.
Right.
I know what's down that road.
And it's not
And
cute.
then I got to start over again. And I got to apologize. Lord, I'm sorry. Look,
Yeah.
I'm back at day one again.
And it ain't worth all that. It ain't
It
worth all
ain't
that.
worth all that.
No.
No, it's not worth it. Like, Because that's what it is. To put yourself in certain circles is to constantly know, even when you're not trying to be like, it's still gonna be a little shade in there somewhere. You're
Oh
gonna have to shade
yeah.
people. I
Oh
don't want
yeah.
to. I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like it.
Right. No, because it takes too much energy, and it
I
takes
don't
you
feel
away
like
from what
it.
you're doing. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not gonna be like, and I wouldn't like if it was something serious for real,
Mm-hmm.
I would not publicly display that to people anyway. Like, I would pull you to the side.
Right. And we talked about that. It was just like it was something real little, and I'll say it like, like I'll send a text. You know how I mean everybody does this when you're sending a text or something like that, and words misspelled and you don't catch it, and you just go ahead and send it,
Oh
or
yeah,
and it bothers me. So I was like, oh, I meant this, and Keisha was like, oh, I know what you meant, whatever, but I don't call people out on little stuff like
yeah.
that.
I
And it,
don't correct people. Like, I don't. I know
yeah,
what you mean. I hate for people to do that. I
I do
think people who do
too.
that are weird.
Very, especially when you do it on a public platform.
Who like?
It's
I
different
think
if it's
that's
if it's between
weird.
us and you. We don't even do that when it's between us. It's like we'll figure it out. Either that or I'll be like, "Did you mean this?" Something like
Yeah.
that. If I don't understand it, but usually it ain't nothing that big.
Or I'll come back if I really am lost.
Mm-hmm.
I will just ask you, what is a
Exactly.
like? And I'm just going to use this word for example. Like, well, what is an elephant? Like, I don't know what that is.
Right.
Like, then
Right.
you can look back and say, oh, I didn't mean that. Like, I meant, oh, okay, now I get it.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I got
But
to
to
do.
just know that you put something wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and to just have to tell you, like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, you meant da 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 da.
Right.
Bitch, find something to do. Like, I
Exactly.
can't. I can't do with it. I can't do with that.
I can't either. It's just so
Because I just
ridiculous.
can't. I cannot live my life like that with people.
No.
Like,
But like I say, and I had to learn this for years. It's something wrong with them.
yeah,
It's not you. So quit trying to please everybody. Quit trying
yeah.
to, trying to have this perception of yourself out there. And just because when somebody has to constantly down you or down, or you
Mm-hmm.
just see them just constantly being negative and everything like that,
Mm-hmm.
I just ignore them or I delete them out of,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just like it's something wrong with you and I don't want that negativity.
Mm-hmm. You know what's so funny? And because you just said that,
Mm-hmm.
and I brought up D.L. Hughley, the
Mm-hmm.
thing that D.L. Hughley is bashing Kanye West for,
Mm-hmm.
he's doing it.
Oh,
See, this is why I unfollow people, because you just talked about unfollowing people, and it just, Lord just being that in my head.
mm-hmm.
You are bashing him for quote unquote harassing the boy, Pete. I don't even
Yeah, Pete
what's
Davidson.
him
Yeah.
harassing him on social media. You're doing the exact same thing with Kanye
Mm-hmm.
West. You're like waking up without a cause
Without just for
and
content.
just posting negative stuff about
That's
him.
it. That's it.
And you know why it's really sad? Because let's just say, even after you watched what's it called? Jesus.
Yeah. Or something. Yeah.
After you watched the 3-part documentary
Mm-hmm.
on Netflix. And did you know Netflix paid Cootie $20 million for that?
Did they?
Girl, that's
I
what they
did
said.
not know that.
That's what they said. A lot of people
Child,
said that.
look,
20 million.
let me figure out
But
how to do some
af-
documentaries.
after watching that,
mm-hmm.
as a father of a son
Mm-hmm.
who has challenges, I don't know why you wouldn't recognize that losing his mother affected him
And
on
how
a
long have we
mental
been
level.
saying that? We know that's what it is. Now before,
That's weird that he does that.
I
That's
don't
weird that D.L.
understand.
Hughley just that he. I think it's weird when anybody doesn't stand back and take a broad look at a situation.
We've seen the downfall of him since since his
Yes.
mother tragically passed away.
Hmm.
We've seen that. So it's just like
And
we
to
know that's
think
an
that he
issue.
went into a family
Mm-hmm.
who embraced him and now shuns him.
Right.
The very people who you were getting your love and support from
Mm-hmm.
now want to cut you off from your children.
Right.
And another reason why I don't understand why people is taking that side. We said we weren't going to talk about this. I'm going to stop right now. I'm gonna stop.
Because we could seriously fill up the
Because
rest
it's
of the show
classic
talking
baby
about this.
mama drama. She's given classic baby mama drama.
And you know, when I see that, especially with these celebrities, I just tell them, I'd be like, don't be that girl. Don't be that girl that's out here, you know, just using your kids,
The way
to
she
try to get
keep it
back.
North away. Oh, you can't take North, but the other kids can come.
Mm-hmm.
Because North is big enough to talk and tell what's
Egg-
truthfully going on.
And North looks like she'll tell all the damn business. Did you
North
see that
telling
meme
every
at the
time
Super
she
Bowl?
see her daddy.
She was just telling
She tell
Kanye
him.
everything. You know she was. And Kim saw them damn memes, and she was like,
Because listen, because North be looking at Kim sideways like, girl, sit down.
She's been looking at her sideways since we first saw North. So I'm
Way
here for
back.
it. That's why I've always been like, I'm here for North.
Yes.
I mean, listen.
Child.
Girl.
We could just, that's a whole nother. We could bring interview a baby daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And have a whole nother show about that, but
Listen,
whatever. Gentrification.
Gentrification. So let's get into that.
Like, how y'all go from all that to gentrification?
But real talk, this is how our conversations on the phone go. We talk about every damn thing. And we just be going right into it like, girl, yes. And then...
Right, like, did you see that special report?
Okay.
On CNN? Like, we go, listen.
Be talking about
you
celebrity gossip to the... You do. You really do. Because
y'all
it's
can't
just
keep
way
talking
too
about
much going on.
Lil Durk and 2 Chainz all the time. You got to.
Yeah, because after a while, I'll be like, who? That's all you got to do. That's it. But, so the things I want to talk... And this is good to end the show on this because... It'll, like I said, some of this will tie into next week when we get into real estate and things like that.
And so before you get started, because I'm going to let you take over, like completely over.
Okay.
Gentrification is the process whereby the character of a poor urban area is changed by wealthier people moving in, improving housing, and attracting new businesses, typically displacing current inhabitants in the process. Go for what you know, homegirl.
Right. So this is my thing. Okay, now I've always had a problem with gentrification since I was younger because I've seen it firsthand. Right. And I will say this, even before I learned about like what happened back in the 70s and 80s when they started building the freeways in all these major cities, including here in Columbus, that basically gave people an quote unquote outlet to move out. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with moving on and, you know, doing better for yourself and, you know, things like that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not what I'm saying. But the neighborhood that I didn't grow up in this neighborhood, but I grew up in it. And that's our King Lincoln, Mount Vernon area because that's where my grandparents are from. And, you know, in the 80s when I had like a lot of my still great aunts and great uncles living and, you know, they still lived in that neighborhood. I learned how to swim at, what was that pool called? Maryland Pool. And, you know, like, I just remember just always just walking around that neighborhood and just being free and just feeling different. Then I would come back to my neighborhood and it was fun and everything like that, but it just wasn't the same.
Were white people still in your neighborhood? Like, so, because, okay, when you say your neighborhood, what do you mean by that?
Like where
Walnut Creek, like, tell the area.
Yeah. So the area that, well, actually, I'm going to say this. I had 2 homes, basically. I had my grandparents' home, which is where I live now. And it was a mixed neighborhood.
And what area is that?
It's currently right now, it's over by Mifflin High School. It's off of, it's basically, now we're stuck between Easton and Gahanna, basically. That's where I'm living now. And that's also where I grew up. That was my grandparents' home.
Okay.
So from there.
So that's not Walnut Creek, though, right?
No. But when I went over my mom's house, because I didn't fully move in with my mom and my stepdad full time until I was in 7th grade.
Okay.
I mean, I would be there. I had my own room and everything, of course, like that. But I didn't like start catching the bus and everything. It was the same school area, you know. Like I still went to the same schools.
Right. And it's all the same area.
Yeah, it's all the same. Yeah. But Walnut Creek, it was a predominantly black neighborhood at the time. Now, before years ago, it was predominantly a white neighborhood, and then I didn't know this. But it was predominantly a white neighborhood, and then black people started moving in, and then the white folks started moving out, of course. You know,
I wonder where they went to Gahanna, you think? Because Gahanna was like the first. Well, was that like the first?
It was one
get
of
away
them.
From these black folks?
Yeah, in Worthington. Now I say Worthington because at the time the elementary school over there is Ennis Elementary, and my aunts, they're like 10 years older than we are. So they were still like at that time, and this was like what, the late 70s, early 80s, when they were in, excuse me, I'm sorry, when they were in elementary school. So Walnut Creek, my grandmother, she used to work at Ennis. You know, she would do that part time. And she worked there with other mothers and stuff. This is when mothers actually help work in the school, you know, but when they,
when they used to do like that rotation, like, oh, it's your turn to have lunch duty, or it's your turn to be on classroom duty. Yeah.
Right. So and one of the ladies that she was real cool with that worked there, white mother, she lived in Walnut Creek. And but this is around the time that black folks started moving in. So her and another mother that lived in Walnut Creek, they said, oh, well, we just got a house in Worthington. So that's why I say Worthington was another one. But I'm sure Gahanna was too, because Gahanna's very close, and Westerville, you know, like, I mean, you know, so
they had options.
Where to go. Yeah. When the black folks start moving, and this happens everywhere, and this is a part of gentrification too. But so to say that when I would go home, I would still pretty much predominantly be in a black neighborhood. So it didn't really bother me that much, but I would see the difference, because like in Walnut Creek, we could walk to like the Dairy Queen. We could walk to, we used to call it the Green Store. It was like a carry-out store around the corner. We used to even walk to Northern Lights because it wasn't that far.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So we would walk, you know, we would walk all over the place, but it wasn't the same as being in Mount Vernon and being on Atchison and being on Hildreth and, you know.
So what was the feel? Like, because look, I had some cousins who lived in Mount Vernon. I don't know. So the plaza was the tall building where the seniors lived, right?
Right, yes.
Okay, so the apartments that were right by the plaza, like where you could walk through those apartments and be in Mount Vernon Plaza.
Right.
My cousin lived over there. So tell me what it felt like to you, because I remember going over there to spend a night with them and playing with them.
It was a warm area to be in. It was just like you just felt welcome. Like, now I'm not gonna lie, I didn't spend too much time over in that area because like my family mainly lived over there by Maryland Pool, like in that area, like where the rec center and stuff like that is, and on, you know, in that area. But we did have friends who we met, you know, who would come to the pool and come to the rec center that lived over there. So we would go over there all the time, but it was very welcoming. It was just like, it was like being at a family reunion.
It was like being at a family reunion,
exactly, because the parents, if they saw you were thirsty, they'd be like, y'all want to come in for something to drink, you know, you want to come in to cool down, you want, you know, one girl, I remember her mother loved to cook, so we would always, you know, if we were out there, you know, her mom be like, I just made some spaghetti for lunch. You know, we'd be like, hey, you know, like stuff like that. So it was just that neighborhood.
It was that, like, oh, we take care of our own. Like, we take care of each other.
Right.
Kids is kids. I'm not sending you home. My kid's about to eat. Here, everybody get a hot dog.
Right.
That's how my grandma was.
Yeah,
everybody get an ice cream cone.
Everybody.
Come on, y'all get in the car.
Yeah, you weren't coming out with, like, you know, just your ice cream bar. It was like, no, I got 2 boxes here. All your friends get one.
Right.
And so I will say this, when I went back home to Walnut Creek, it was still that warm feeling, but it was still pretty much like everyone was still like, we would be outside and we would have a good time, but it wasn't that homely feel. It was just like you had your friends, you know, and everybody went home and did their own thing, which was fine because that's what we grew up with. That's what we were used to, whatever. But you did have some of those parents who would be like that, you know, who would share and things like that. But I just remember just being able to my great uncle, you know, he smoked like a chimney and he drank. And in the 80s, we were able to just go to the store and get his stuff. You know, it was like back then, you know, it was just
send that note.
You send that note. Exactly. It was that kind of neighborhood, that kind of family feel. Now you can't do that because they're going to be like, oh, this is for you, baby. We know this, you know, like whatever.
Right.
But I say all that to say this. Still being in Columbus and still like my barber is still in that area, you know, so I go down there all the time, or just when I'm cutting through from where I live to get to downtown or whatever. Or go to a restaurant in that neighborhood or whatever, I see the change that's coming. And the first thing that I noticed, which it needed to be done, I'm not going to lie, but they tore down the original Champion Middle School because it used to be next to my church that I grew up in. Yeah, they tore down. Yeah, Champion, the original Champion Middle School is gone.
Oh,
And they have a
wow.
brand new one. It's not even on Champion anymore. I think it's on that street that's behind Champion.
What's it called? It ain't called Champion?
No, it's still called Champion. It
Oh,
just next time I go down that way, I'm gonna take a picture for you, or you might be able to even see it
yeah.
online. But yeah, they
Oh,
redid it.
yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah, yeah. So it's look it
Oh,
up
wow.
because Champion is the
We used to
old
be scared of them. I used to be scared of people that went to Champion.
girl. When we played them, when I went to Clinton and we played them in basketball, and we had to go to Champion because Champion was one of those schools that like we only they weren't in our division, so we played them like once. We didn't play them like twice like we did the teams in our division. So the
Oh,
first time we played them, they came to Clinton. The second time, I think my 8th grade year, we went to Champion and we were terrified because we heard that they threw a brick through either Woodward Park or Medina, one of those middle schools, that they threw a brick through their window because they lost. And we were good. So we already knew we were going to beat them. So we were like, oh shit, what are they going to do to
right.
us?
Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, but we were scared. But like I wasn't as scared. I was scared, but I was trying to like be the cool one and like, oh, I go to church my church is right next to Champion, and everything like that. Like, oh no, it'll be cool. And I was trying to talk people down, but knowing good and well, my ass was like, oh shit, what they gonna do?
You was nervous too.
Nervous as hell. But so that's just a prime example right there. Now there used to be a funeral home that is gone now. Well, it's still there, but I think it's CD White, and my
Oh,
family,
yeah.
yeah, that's closed now.
Yeah, I
Be-
think I heard that. Yeah.
yeah, and the building's still there, but like around it, they have like these brand new buildings, and it's just like, what are y'all putting there?
Right.
On the next street, there are these brand new condos, and one of the YouTube videos that you sent me, it showed like how they're real funny looking, and you could tell that they're new. They're not meant to be in that
Oh, yeah, and they're
area.
talking about the modern
Yeah, the
building.
modern building, and the
Yeah, how
funny,
they say it's more efficient for the area.
yes,
I
they
want you to talk about the freeway though.
the free. Okay, so what
When
people.
they because I remember you mentioned how they
Mm-hmm.
built the freeway because if we all should remember that because
Right. That was
that
because
did
we were
not used to
alive.
you used to mothers is that called Mother's Helper where that daycare is?
Yeah. Yep. Mother's helper. Yep.
So right there, that area,
Mm-hmm.
that talk about that because you mentioned building that freeway and how it changed the area.
Okay. So what people like a lot of people might not realize is that through these quote unquote black neighborhoods that were predominantly black, that where a majority of the black community lived, like when most of them, especially like in the Midwest, when a lot of people migrated from the South here, up
Hmm.
north, they settled in neighborhoods in Mount Vernon, King Lincoln. It has a lot of different names, but that neighborhood is very synonymous and very. That's and even still today, we still try to keep it as ours. So
Right.
what they did was, and it just wasn't here in Columbus, but it was in a lot of major cities. But what they did was to basically to get people out of that neighborhood and to get more traffic going to the neighborhood so people could see, oh, this is good land right here, we can buy this, we can do this,
Right.
we
To
so
make easier access to
to
downtown.
that's exactly what it was. So they
Hmm.
build these freeways, and for us in Columbus it's 71. So
Hmm.
71 is the freeway, and you'll see, like, if you're going over the Long Street Bridge or the Spring Street Bridge, all that
That's
stuff,
it.
that's
That's
it.
it. Yep.
Those weren't there. It was just
Hmm.
land. And when they
Yep.
built those, it basically was a pathway, yes, to downtown, but it also was a pathway for these black families to be like, oh,
Pushed out.
yeah, we can get out of here. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So, yeah, that's basically
And
what it
that
was.
is a sign of gentrification.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a documentary on PBS, and I think it's called Driving While Black,
Mm-hmm.
and it talked about automobiles and just the importance of driving in neighborhoods for Black people.
Right.
Well, towards the end of the documentary, they pointed out how when you see these freeways, when freeways begin to be built
Mm-hmm.
and access to transportation begin to come into urban neighborhoods,
Yeah.
they talked about how a lot of the places that you saw, like in the Green Book, when
Mm-hmm.
you would like, tell people, when Black people needed to know where they was safe
And
for them to
research the
stay,
Green Book, y'all. Research the Green Book.
that a lot of those areas and a lot of those businesses were lost
Mm-hmm.
because they built these freeways right through Black neighborhoods.
Right.
And that's exactly what the Spring Street and the Long Street Bridge, they built that
Mm-hmm.
right through that neighborhood.
Yep.
And see, some people would look at it like, oh, that's access to, oh, we can get downtown quicker. No,
Mm-hmm.
when you saw them do that, trust and believe that was them making the property desirable
Yep.
to white people.
Mm-hmm. And
To
that's
to now, like, what did we just say? When y'all moved into Walnut Creek,
mm-hmm.
people moved out to Worthington.
Right.
People had the ability to move out to other suburbs. But
Mm-hmm.
then they say, oh, well, we want to live in these big houses.
Yep.
We want to come back to this side of town.
Mm-hmm.
We work downtown and I want to be closer to work.
Why do you think
So
they're
what
building all these expensive condos? It ain't for Black people.
exactly? So then what do? Let's give easy access to transportation to and from downtown. So
Mm-hmm.
now we can push through this area and start to buy up this property around
Right.
here.
And let me say this too, like that you said that people moving back, white people moving back, I should say.
Hmm.
Back in the day, these big houses and things like that, they were like on Main Street, all that area, Old Town East, everything like that. And we know this is in other cities too. So if you don't live in Columbus and you're not familiar with these neighborhoods that we're talking about, it happens all.
It's happening where you live.
Yeah. So these like those big houses and everything like that were built and originally owned by Black doctors,
Right.
black, just anyone who had money. They originally owned those, and then they started pushing them out, and white folks
So
started moving in. And then when the property value would go down,
mhm,
then Black
they will
people
come
started
back.
moving back in. And then now that the property value is going down because these houses were left abandoned and things like that, and these builders are coming in and rebuilding them and selling them for $200,000, $300,000. Now the white folks are moving back in.
So this something you just said,
Mm-hmm.
and this is where I take issue with us as African Americans,
Mm-hmm.
because it all goes back to the same statement: white ice ain't colder.
Yep.
We left a lot of our neighborhoods voluntarily
Yeah.
because, yes, because some of us didn't want to live next door to some of us.
That part.
Not some of us who were not on the same financial status that we were.
Right.
If you were a Black professional and you were a doctor, you didn't like the change of the neighborhood either.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
like when white people saw us coming, when y'all saw some of the lower incomes coming in, it gave some Black people pause, and they're like, oh, well, I got the money. I can go to Worthington too.
Mm-hmm.
I can go to Westerville too.
Yep.
Look, of course, I didn't grow up. We didn't have a lot of money,
Right.
but I will just speak about our track.
Mm-hmm.
We started behind Northland Mall,
Mm-hmm.
where all the apartments were.
Yeah.
We started behind Northland Mall, and then what did we do? We transitioned a little further to 161,
Mm-hmm.
where we were in like Westerville School District.
Right.
And then what did we do? We transformed a little further, and we went all the way out to Bryce Road.
Mm-hmm.
So as your quote unquote status changes, Black people do the same thing.
Yeah.
We leave those neighborhoods,
Mm-hmm.
and then we sometimes we talk about gentrification, and it's like, well, how much of it are we responsible for?
Because when you talk about displacement, we've displaced ourselves too.
Walking away from something that we saw no value in. I think
Mhm.
T.I. spoke about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can't always be upset because we walked away from the house and felt that the house didn't have any value.
Right.
Why did we do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why did we think it was appropriate to leave our neighborhoods?
Right. Why couldn't you stay and help build the wealth in this neighborhood? You know what I
My
mean?
friend said something, and I was so proud that she said this.
Mm-hmm.
The west side of Dayton is the black side of
Right.
town. And her grandmother was like a force on the west side of Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
She was active in the priority board. She just was always active in the community.
Yes.
And for years, she lived out by the mall, which would be considered the white side of town.
Mm-hmm.
And she always told me, she's like, I'm coming back because I live on the west side. Um, I think they might consider Trotwood to be a suburb. I don't know if I consider that, but um, I guess I live, I guess I live on the west side.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, I'm coming back on that side of town. She said, because there's no way that I could let my grandmother have worked all those years on the priority board and all the work she did for the west side and not purchase on that side of town.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and she did. She just closed on a house maybe 4 months ago, maybe
Yeah.
5 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So and I take honor in that, like to say
Yes.
that she did that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what a lot of us need to do.
Yeah. Need to look
Like,
more into that.
and so we're talking about gentrification, and I want to show a picture of what gentrified neighborhoods look like.
Yes.
So again, we live on the west side of Dayton. The west
Mm-hmm.
side would be considered hood. It's hood over
Mm-hmm.
here,
Right.
And the houses. So we were thinking about moving.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, okay, we want some more space, and we were like, okay, I'm thinking like, okay, let's rent. Like, let's just find a place to rent because we need to move. Like, our lease is almost up. We need to move like fast.
Right.
I think I said this to you. I've said it to a few other people, and this is what gave me pause. And this is how you and I started to talk about the neighborhoods are changing and talked about gentrification.
Mm-hmm.
Because a house for rent on the west side, what I was seeing,
Mm-hmm.
and places I wouldn't consider living there. But when you put your particulars in the search, this is what they show you everything within a certain area in that price range.
Right.
And I was like, why is there a house on Westwood? And anybody who knows Dayton or know Ohio, that's the hood. Okay?
Right.
Why is it a house on Westwood for like $1,000?
Exactly.
For
Exactly.
$1,200 for rent.
That's that. Yeah, they don't want certain people in there.
But this, and then this is the question that I had, and I've said it to everybody, and this is what gives me pause. Where are you pushing Black people to?
Mm-hmm. We talked about
The
that.
people who live in these neighborhoods, where exactly do you want them to go? Because y'all don't want them out there by y'all in the mall. You don't want them in Miamisburg. I know that for sure. You don't want to. So this is Black territory over here.
Mm-hmm.
I would consider that to be, it's a Black territory.
Yeah.
Where if you price this to a place where Black people can't afford it, where do you expect them to go? And I said this to Ronnie last night, and I know that my mind is like, I'm gonna say this, and people are gonna think I'm so crazy. But when you push people out of being able to afford, this is what my mind says to me. When you push people out of being able to afford a home, you push people into homelessness.
Yes.
When you push people into homelessness, you have increased their I don't want to say, you have increased the chances that they will come in contact with law enforcement because you're going to be on the street. Because everybody does not go to the shelter. I want to be clear about that. When you get homeless, people sleep in their cars.
Yeah.
That increases your chance to be interacting with the police. So now you're going to criminalize more people because you're going to start to inquire tickets.
It's a cycle that they want.
You may not be able to afford to pay. And now we're talking about 45 days in jail, 30 days in jail, 60 days in jail. So now we've criminalized being homeless.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if we can criminalize you, again, we can keep you out of, even depending on how far this goes, we can keep you out of being employed.
Yeah.
And it
Mm-hmm.
just, this now I feel concerned.
Yeah, it's a cycle.
I feel concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I've really started to, you know, it gives me pause.
Yeah.
Like, what is it exactly that you're trying to do here?
Yeah. And like in saying that, like where these people supposed to go,
Yeah.
it's like there are all these empty buildings. They're like old school buildings that aren't being used. Like for example, we can go back to Mount Vernon and King Lincoln and all that. Pilgrim Elementary School, which closed maybe about 20 years ago, maybe not that long ago, because there are some people our age that actually went there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been empty for years. They're not doing anything to it. Why can't that be turned into a shelter?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. And I know a lot of things go into doing that, and you just can't do it. You just can't go in there and rearrange and build stuff and things like that. I get it. But
Mm-hmm.
is that even being considered? Because
No,
down the
because we are
street.
built on a capitalist society,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and that would require massive donations,
Mm-hmm. Because
and
you.
it would require it being a nonprofit. And there are some people who give,
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
like what's his name? Bezos' wife
Mm-hmm.
just gave the was it the Habitat for Humanity? She just gave 47, or was it the Humane? She just gave
It
a
was
big
one of
donation
those. Yeah, it was one of those
of like
nonprofits.
$47 million or something
Mm-hmm.
in the $40 million range.
Yeah. Yep.
So
So there
it
are people that do things,
there
but
are, but it's hard to
especially on a local level.
find it.
On a
When
local
you
level, it's
hear
hard.
people say homeless, oh, we're gonna house the homeless, they like, I can't make no money in there, or
Mm-hmm.
like it's hard to get people to get behind it.
Yeah.
And I will say again, my friend who closed on her house, she said, we talked about the area around here, Dayton View, and she said, there was a girl on social media talking about, oh, this house is $100,000 and I just can't see paying it. She said, and I told her, buy it,
Mm-hmm.
buy the house, put the money into it to fix it up. It's going to be worth $300,000 by the time you get finished with it.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Don't let somebody else come in and buy up our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. If you can do it, do it.
Do it.
Yes.
And I think I wrote something down. So, and this is why we're going to talk about real estate next week,
Mm-hmm.
because it says when we talk about gentrification, rent in America's 50 largest cities rose at an average of 14% in 2021. And that was a fact from CBS News.
Mm.
So, you
See.
know, I would just encourage us, where gentrification is concerned, let us be the ones to buy our neighborhoods.
Yes.
Don't just sit and let's have this conversation and talk about it, and
Mm-hmm.
then not be the people to go in and purchase property.
And speaking of that, and also going into um, next week's episode about real estate, people don't realize that you see these people, like goes around like these memes that go viral and everything like that, where you see like parents buying their babies and their young children or their teenage children, they buy them houses. It's not for them
Right.
to live in now. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. But people
Right.
don't realize that real estate is one of the biggest factors in generational wealth. People don't realize that. And that's why a lot of black people don't have generational wealth, is because we've never really were allowed to own
We don't know the
anything.
different ways to take it. Like,
Exactly.
number one, you
Mm-hmm.
just said it. We were not allowed to own first.
Right.
We were not.
Mm-hmm.
But now you don't even, because of some of the negative stigmas that we've seen growing up,
Mm-hmm.
we don't even take the time to see what ways. We was having a conversation the other night, and I said, and I learned this from somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
wholesaling real estate. When you see those properties that's like $7,500 and the house just beat down,
Yeah.
but you buy it,
Mm-hmm.
buy it, clean it up, clean up. whatever need to be cleaned up. Not do nothing to the house.
Right.
Clean it, just dust it off. Cut the
Mm-hmm.
grass. If it's some stuff inside the structure, go in there and clean it out.
Right.
Call, what is it, 1-800-JUMP. Get
Mm-hmm.
them to clean it out. Let it sit.
Yeah.
Hold it
Mm-hmm.
for so many months or a year.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised how your $7,500 investment, then after you clean everything up, maybe you put an $8,000 investment in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna make you, the house might be 12,000.
Right.
Neighborhoods are changing that fast now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really happening, and
Yeah.
we just got to stop being scared.
Right.
I see everybody talking about credit.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody building their credit back. I shared something on my personal. I tried to share it on every platform, and I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, you did.
A
Yeah.
basic way to build your wealth and to build
Mm-hmm.
your credit. And it's nothing astronomical at all.
Right. Nothing. No, it's
Just
not as hard as you think it is.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
But you building your credit for a reason.
Yep.
Even if you purchase you a condo, purchase you a
Mm-hmm.
small house.
Yeah. Just something to get it started. Be the first one.
Yeah. Don't be scared.
Mm-hmm. And like for me, like I don't have children. If I can get something going, and be able to pass it down even to my nieces and nephew or a
Right.
younger cousin or something like that, it's
Mhm.
so you don't have to have quote unquote children or
Heirs to
heirs.
like
There
give
you
it to.
go. Yeah. So just try to get it started. You don't have to just be the first one. Like I said,
Right.
just be the first one. If you haven't if you haven't come from, where someone before you was able to pass anything down to you and you feel like you had the resources to do it, do it.
Mhm.
That's it.
And this goes back to what I said the other week. I think about, we got to be responsible. When I talked about being responsible to talk to younger people about education,
Mm-hmm.
we also have to be responsible to each other, to just, because, you know, we in this era of, I want to charge you to show you how to breathe right. Like, we
Listen,
want to charge people for everything.
everything.
Like, can we just freely share some things with each other?
Mm-hmm.
Why does everything? Because let me tell y'all a secret. Half of the people you share the information with, everybody not gonna do it.
Exactly.
It's so I think sometimes we're scared to give information out freely
Mm-hmm.
because we're afraid of competition.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But what God has for you is for you.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can take that from you.
Yep.
So stop being afraid to pour into people.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't wasting my time. I ain't. Stop letting social media dictate these negative attitudes to you.
Right.
9 times out of 10, they are telling you the opposite of what you really need to do to be a loving, caring, productive member of society.
Right. Especially when you're black. I'm
Yes,
just saying.
stop letting people tell you negative things to be. Be kind.
Mm-hmm.
Be loving, be forgiving,
Mm-hmm.
give people grace.
Yes.
We be so
Yes. So quick to write people off and
chill
just
out.
chill out, just
We don't have to charge each other for every single thing.
Right. Do you know how much I could charge people, people who hit me up and now after a while I will have to charge you because I'm running a business. But if you call me, or you I had a friend who I used to work with, and she said a good friend of hers wants to start a podcast. What does he need? I was like, oh yeah, cool, because I want everybody to be able to do what they want to do. So I just said, the basic equipment that I started out with and what I use now. So, things like that. Like I have a couple people who I haven't been able to get back to. And if you listen to this podcast, I've been trying to keep in touch with you and I will get back to you. But they want me to help them do stuff with their website, just basic stuff because I don't do anything fancy with mine.
Y'all gotta wait because my website need help first.
Girl, listen, that's a whole other subject for a different
And
day.
I got the nerve to be over here trying to open another website. Y'all got to wait. Can she help me? Okay, we can't. I can't even allow that to go on.
Right, right. Like I'm booked, okay?
She is booked and busy. Okay.
Okay. But the thing is, it's like I don't mind helping people. Like if I can
Yeah.
help you get started, if it's something what you want to do, heck yeah, I'm going to get you. If I might even meet up with you, you
Yeah.
know, and y'all know I don't do face to face stuff. I don't really like people like that. But if it's something that I can help you with, whatever, I'm going to do it.
I'm over here making the blue ivy face, looking down on people like, we try to stay away from people. How she was looking at them people like, ugh.
Peasants. That's all I see when I see that. And that's how I'm be looking down at
Picture
y'all.
is so funny.
That is classic. That
But
is
it's true. I mean,
it's
I
true.
feel you because I feel the same way. Like people, we already know. I
Yeah.
help people with no
Right.
problem.
It's no
So,
problem to like I don't mind
no,
giving
I think
advice.
it's weird that they just. Why do people do that?
I don't know.
Like, you gotta stop that.
Yeah, really need to stop that. And I understand times are hard out here. It's all about making money. I get it. You know, because if I wasn't worried about money, I would try to do this full time. But girl,
Right.
I need money.
Mhm.
You know, it's like
Right.
I can't just quit my job and just focus on this. I wish I
Mhm.
could.
But see, that's what it feel like to me. People don't like. Sometimes this selling this stuff feel like a gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I'm gonna teach you how to be a business coach.
And some of them are.
I'm gonna teach. It's like the next scam.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just if you genuinely are helping people,
Mm-hmm.
you helping them.
Right.
You probably do have a fee. Like, oh yeah, I set your website up for you, $400, or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know what it costs, but
I don't either.
you
Because I don't
know,
charge people
but
like
just
that.
that's genuine.
Mm-hmm.
But to be out here charging people, I'm a charge. I send you the link, but it's $30. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Girl, when you go to these
Oh,
websites and stuff like that, and that's first of all, you getting paid because I'm going to your website. I'm clicking on your link, so you getting paid there. But then you want to charge me $100 to show me how to click this other link so that you can send me something that'll show me what I can go on YouTube and see for free. You know, people. Yeah, I mean, and
it's exhausting.
it is exhausting.
I just wish we and like and I don't know why that's so heavy on me
Mm-hmm.
this week. It's like we got to treat each other better.
Yeah, try to help each
I
other
think
out.
that D.L. Hughley and Kanye West thing, and then that stuff that I saw them saying to Peach McIntyre,
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw another lady who does relationship. It was like that's the first thing we do. We don't know how to have like a conversation.
No, nobody knows how to
presenting
communicate.
facts
Nobody knows how to
without
communicate
attacking
anymore.
each other.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's
Especially
like,
when you're
why do we have to
when
do
you're over
that?
the internet. That's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, like
Even people that even people that like if you say you may know them, but you don't see them, so they feel like that they could just say whatever to you or whatever. It's across the board, girl. Listen.
well, I think we did pretty good
Yeah,
today.
we did good. Yeah, it actually went longer. I thought that this show was going to be like about 20, 30 minutes tops.
It was an hour.
It was an hour, but it's cute though. So
But God bless us anyway.
yeah, so don't forget. So next week we are going to be talking about real estate, and there are going to be a couple things from this episode that will lead into, but it will be focused more on real estate, of course. And as we mentioned earlier in the show, our good friend, our former classmate, Brandy McWade, who's a well-respected realtor here in excuse me, I'm sorry, y'all.
18 years experience in Columbus, Ohio.
Listen,
Yes.
that's it right there. So yeah, and so so she answered some questions for us. So we're going to be giving those. Keisha came up with some real good questions to ask her because that's our real estate girl right there. I told Keisha that she needs to get a real estate license because
I do need to get a license.
you do because she knows a lot about real estate without having the formal education.
Ever since, remember y'all when it was a big bear on 161?
Yeah, girl, yeah.
And you used to get all the magazines.
That
all the books used to be right there.
Girl, when my mom would be in there shopping, I would be right there in the book and magazine section the whole time.
Like when you come out the grocery store, they used to give you all them free books for rent. Remember think about where the housing market is today, and think about how thick those real estate magazines used to be.
Yeah,
everybody was selling their houses. It was houses everywhere. You can't find a house now.
No, and we're going to talk about that next week. That's going to be part of our discussion next week as well.
Absolutely.
Like you can't find a damn house at all.
All
But
righty
yeah,
then.
so thank you all for tuning in to episode 8 of Girl You Know What. And we will see you back here, episode 9. We're getting there, girl. We are getting to our 10th
Okay.
episode. So
Yes, we are.
yeah, and we're going to have a special guest on our 10th episode, hopefully. So
Yes.
be on the lookout for that. But yeah, so everybody have a good and productive week, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
bye, everybody.